let's jump right in. We are continuing the occlusion shading. So, start the music, switch over to this. No? No sound? This is what I get for streaming without testing things first. Okay, looks like the mic is working. I'm not hearing anything in my AirPods. Turn you on. Hopefully that's better. And now try that one more time. All right. All right, let's keep going then. Hi, good morning. I am a little ragged this morning, a little tired. A big weekend of having fun, and took a lot of effort to jump into this, but I'm gonna try. Something I'm gonna try and be is a little bit more direct and concise with what I'm doing. Yeah, it's 5 a.m. Yeah, with what I'm doing because I feel like it might be beneficial to people who are curious, but then, you know, don't have all day for me to figure out how to do stuff live. They could. I'm not really gonna do anything different, but I'm probably not gonna start with that little slideshow of images that I did in the beginning because they're not really relevant to what I'm doing right now. Let's see here. Okay, so there's Link. There's his design shading. We're gonna turn that off. These are his flats. We can make a new layer based on that. Fill it with white and shade that in. I've been posting these on Instagram and getting a little bit more traction with people liking and following. And that's been fun. I like that. There we go. Yeah, I just have to remember how to do this. Remember how to do this and then force myself to do it, even if I'm sleepy. Definitely have to lock those pixels so we're not bleeding out accidentally. We already took all that time to be precise with the edges. We don't need to undo all that good work. There's definitely here where he's holding his arm to his body. You know, he's ostensibly wounded here, the way I've severely wounded, the way I've depicted him, leaving a crazy trail of blood smeared across the wall. Oh boy, cheap viewers, I will ban you super quick. There we go. That is the downside of our new artificial reality. I was able to use my brother as a moderator against bots when I used to stream in the evenings. He would watch my stream and ban bots that showed up. He would ban them so fast I wouldn't even see that they had done anything. I would just see someone got banned, and I'd be like, oh, someone got banned. I didn't even see them chat. He had a nose for trouble, I guess. Yeah, he's pretty fast. Thought that was kind of funny. And I was like, hey, how do you know that was a bot? I didn't even do anything yet. What if that's a real person? That's a horrible thing. Real people mistaken for bots. What a terrible, terrible thing that could happen. You don't have bot-ish behavior, but on a keyboard, your name almost looks like something that like someone would like just randomly type really fast, and I remember being a little bit suspecting that your name was bot generated. That's not a, but, like, and then to me, I'm like, but they're probably a real person, so you shouldn't actually just assume people are bots, and, you know, you can ask a question at least before you ban someone. Or wait for them to do something bad. You know. I don't know if I'm against bots that might be helping me. Like, my brother uses a bot on his stream to like welcome people or whatever and give shout outs. Like there are good R2D2 bots, right? Those things are good. I'm glad you're sentient. That is the problem, is these things are useful for avoiding accountability. These bot technologies and artificial intelligence technologies are just human nature being what it is. I don't think anybody can deny. It's like, this stuff is good for cheating, you know? Cheating, doing bad things, not getting caught. It's kind of looking cool. Starting off as a pretty busy week for me. So I can't go very deep into this today. I will be trying to hold to about an hour and a half this morning. Just a little snack of a stream. But it really helps me to feel like I'm making progress on something that's important. And then with that anxiety out of the way, I can feel fully focused on whatever else needs to happen during the day. appreciative of that, and I feel like, well, one thing happened on the my Instagram where, oh, it feels like people are actually sharing the work that I'm putting out, which is great because then it's like more followers are being sent, and as long as those are real people and not bots, I think it's really cool. And it's a good motivation for me to continue, because I can't post stuff unless I generate stuff and or generate. That's not what I'm doing. And unless I draw the stuff to begin with. Well, I think they must have credited me because they people then ended up following me afterward, and saying encouraging things, which is nice. I would hate to be hate followed, but I guess that's possibly unavoidable. Typically, people are very encouraging to my art efforts. It's pretty much always been the case, so I don't have like a trauma moment where people in your case where you had that traumatic art judgment moment with your family, and that was terrible. But I'm glad your mom saved your art. Or you did, and at least she helped. That's good. I'm in a tricky situation now where both of my kids are drawing their butts off and making all sorts of stuff that, like, I want to keep, but they're just going through like a stack of paper every week, and the amount of stuff they're making that I want to keep, it is like going to exceed our storage abilities. We can't keep everything. So I'm trying to think of different ways to, I'm like, can I line this stuff up and take a picture and then save that picture? It feels like a solution. This leg will have to be rendered well. Good, I'm glad she keeps that stuff. It's a great peek into the mind of a kid. And the personality, too. My daughter makes little books. And she's 7, so, like, it's not like this is impossibly, like, amazingly genius, but she, because she's old enough to be creative, but she takes paper, folds it in half again, and, like, cuts it so that, like, and then she'll staple the edge so that it's kind of like a book binding, and you can turn the pages, but it's tiny, so it's like kid-sized. And she definitely does real fun illustrations inside. Sometimes really telling stories, and she'll write it out. She's pretty good at spelling, and likes to write books, quote unquote. She made one the other day. It's about the life of a butterfly. It says butterfly on the front. She colored it, and then inside it had there was a leaf with an egg on it, and then the egg turned into like a worm, and the worm turned into a chrysalis, whatever, like the little shell when it metamorphosizes, and then on the last page it was a butterfly. Isn't that fun? I thought that was especially cool because she, is telling a story in pictures. You found stories you used to write in Polish class? Or are they like dramatic? Children getting lost and eaten by evil people or something? Writing thrillers. That's awesome. This looks like decent occlusion shading. And now my son, who sees my daughter making books, is sort of copying her, and he's made a couple of books too, although they're really just he can't write yet, but he'll make he does like to use staplers, and we have little kid-sized staplers, and he'll make a very tiny mini version of a book, but he does it well, and then he'll just draw like little hearts inside of it, which are cool. His drawing skills sort of just exploded overnight one day, and all of a sudden, at the same time, he started writing his name and writing the word mom and drawing hearts. He has his moments where he's troublesome, but he definitely has been a lot sweeter to me lately too. Does make you proud. There's a funny thing that happens with kids and parents where they'll do something, and if it's good, it's like me and my wife will sort of argue about who gets to take credit. It's like, okay, they're making art, they're being super creative, and I'll be like, well, they get that from me, and my wife will be like, no, I used to do that stuff when I was a kid. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And then they'll do something bad, and I'll be like, that's just like your sister. Meaning my wife's sister, because who's an angel, of course, but has her moments. And then my wife will say, no, it's you act like that a lot too. So always the generous recipient of whatever is to blame. Alright, that looks decent. I'm trying not to get too overly shaded. I think with what I'm trying here, and maybe it's not that big of a deal, but I'm not trying to go directly to black with some of the occlusion shading. And So you can see here where it gets dark. I've just put it to like a dark gray as the darkest. Because that can always get... If we really had to go take that to black, you can sort of do it pretty easily just with a... Whoa, it's a little insane. There are tools that can help darken eyes. Yeah. All right. Save your work. This weekend was no fun. At least at our house, the air conditioner went out, and it's pretty hot in LA right now. So that was not good. But it's like a new unit practically, and it'll get fixed today. They just couldn't get a repairman out in time. And that was a problem. We were supposed to have a friend's birthday party at our house. And we didn't want to cancel, but having 16 people here was going to be a little extreme with the heat of the day and no relief. But luckily, our other friends stepped up to the plate and volunteered their place, which ended up being even better, I think, because they have a pool. Like, we don't have a pool. I feel like every house in LA should have a pool, but for us, that's down the road a bit. And so the kids were able to do a lot of swimming and splashing. And both of my kids, even my younger son at 4, has had a lot of swimming classes. So he's very good at I would say he's better at swimming than I am. Or at least more practiced at it. Which is nice, because I'm totally enables us to actually have fun while we're at a party. Without worrying too much. You always have to be present when kids are in the pool, but you don't have that anxiety like, oh my god. And then the kids themselves they're like demonstrably safe and comfortable because of the exposure and the education they've had. So it's just good. And it feels like responsible parenting too. Some apartments in the world have like pools or like underground facilities. No, I remember there was a place I lived in when I was in Canada that it had a pool. I didn't bother checking it out until I was leaving, till I was like done living there or whatever. And then one day I was like, I should check this out. I went down and it was this awesome pool. I don't know why, I just always assumed it had to be like, well, it's an apartment pool or whatever, and it's probably not that great. And it was awesome. And I was like, why didn't I just come down here and like meet girls and stuff? It looked awesome. Look at this. This is some sloppy. What happened here? Who drew this? They need to be fired immediately. A lot of this is a little overly shaded. The goal right now is not to make this stuff look cool, but to make it look like it's having a fairly accurate representation of where the light is hitting. So I shouldn't just add shading and detail where it looks good, at least not at this stage. There is absolutely going to be a lot of like, we did all the steps and now this area still needs help. How do we fix that? That definitely, that stage happens. But we don't skip to that stage just to quell our anxiety about a drawing that doesn't look great yet. Trust the process. Because we may end up making it look good simply by following all the steps. And I actually expect that to be all there is to it. Here where the two planes of this object meet, light is definitely being blocked. Because the stone is rough and gross. Crevices and cracks, light is definitely being blocked. The underside here. It's a little much. Oh, this went to all the way to black. Today I am back on that job. I'll be working this entire week. Which is great. I do need work. Man, I was at a party the other day. Somehow in LA, even though everybody's unemployed, we still find time to go to parties and throw parties, but I was talking to another person in the union who works as a set dresser and has had a long career, like 20 years. And she said that she worked like 2 weeks in the last year. I agree. Yeah, party going and throwing is like well, if you can't throw, you must at least go. Alright, those who can throw parties must throw parties. That is our mantra. We do a lot of hosting ourselves, so these friends who do a lot of hosting do a great job of coming to our home, and I have this phrase with my wife, or we call them the throwers and the goers. And if you throw a party, you're a party thrower. If you go to parties, you're a party goer. But if you don't go to if you don't go and you don't throw, then it's not particularly useful as a friend group to us. And it's not, you know, there's a certain amount of skill and intuition and instinct to hosting, so you can't hold it against people if they simply just don't have the means or the talent for hosting. But if at least they will go to a party they're invited to and have fun there, then that's great. You at least have something to bring, because you can't have a party without people, right? It's like, that's the other half, is like interesting people coming to a party. So if you can recognize that and be a party to that, then that is just as good. Because some people are great hosts, or, you know, generous hosts, but not necessarily amazing personalities. But we all have something to contribute. But you gotta contribute it. Okay, that looks decently good. It only has to look about that good. Let's test it out. It's giving depth. We're getting depth. We're getting realism. Yeah, looking less like a cartoon, a little more fun. Anyway, it just made me talking to that set dresser friend, seeing how she just hasn't been working, and several of my friends too. It makes me very motivated to try and do well at my work this week. If nothing else, then just out of respect to other people who don't have the greatest opportunities right now, and being completely out of anybody's hands, no control. Like, this is just not a good time to be a lazy artist. So, I don't want to be one. I want to get up early. Really seize the day. Okay. These guys are like some of my favorite drawings ever. It's kind of cool. I really... Not to pat myself on the back too much, but the sort of character I've put into them is there are some drawings that I look at and I'm like, well, I wish I did a better job there. But here I'm like, yes, I did some justice to these designs. So I think this has a lot of potential to be an extremely cool piece. Okay, so obviously in the corners of the mouth, there are going to be a lot of light block. There can be a lot of interesting counterintuitive kinds of lighting effects that happen in a mouth. Like I've seen in photographs and in real life, what can happen is like like a person will smile, and then like deep inside, where you think it would all just be black, you'll get this nice glinting highlight off the back of their cheek, or the back of the inside of their cheek, because of course like there's saliva and soft shiny bits in everybody's mouth, and those are highly reflective, so there you go. But you know, so if light is being blocked, how is light then being reflected out from those soft shiny bits? And I'm okay with admitting that I'm not a genius with specular, those types of highlight reflections. I think they're called specular highlights, or sort of just termed like spec, the specular reflections. Not my area of expertise at all. I mean, I'm not an expert on lighting and color, but I will be trying to think about that stuff, but I won't necessarily be able to do a super realistic job of addressing those types of realities. So when we get there, we'll sort of fake it by putting in some little highlights where it feels like it hits well, where it feels appropriate. Nothing too risky. Okay, the corners in between teeth, light is definitely blocked. Other side of the chin, folds of the crevices and corners of the cheeks. It's blocked. It's blocked. Underside of the lip. So these are funny little eyes. They're almost like anime style. Because you can't really like imagine that there's a round eyeball inset into that. Highly stylized. Maybe I could do something that grounds it a bit. You have disturbed the sleeping beast. Possibly realistic. Is it worth it? I'm not sure. I kind of like it though. Light is definitely getting blocked. The ear is a great example too, where some people with greasy skin, like I sort of have greasy skin. Not a terrible example, but I'm a decent example of someone with greasy skin. And if you took a photo of my ear, for instance, you would definitely have like highlights popping, even in some of the crevices where the ear structures create like a bowl shape. So if you shine a light inside of a bowl, light is like blocked around the edges, but in the center it'll make this pop of highlight. So like in here, we might see a highlight right there. Oh, it's like super, something like that might happen. But that's not really what I'm trying to do right now. So when we're doing the occlusion shading, we're not really thinking about whether or not skin is greasy or if something is shiny like it's made of gold. Sort of treating everything like it's made of Play-Doh. Plain white Play-Doh. The ear meets the body, light will be blocked. And so also down the road, like over here, this area right here, this is a torch. So eventually we're going to paint in flame and then the light that comes off of that flame. There will be other light too, like a sort of diffused cool light. So there will be warm light over here in the composition, and then cool light actually coming from behind camera, sort of bathing everything in this cool light where the torch light isn't quite hitting. So we'll see a lot, but get a great sense of depth from the difference in where the light is hitting. Down the road. Definitely, I did not draw a great background on this compared to some of these other ones. This is definitely very, very sketchy in terms of background, but I think that kind of serves it. Sometimes you add too much detail to something, or detail where detail isn't needed or it's not important. And it slows down the experience of the piece. It might confuse a viewer to see too much. These guys have funny bodies where it's like they're A little bit fat and muscular at the same time. That's kind of like a cool body type, though. Nothing wrong with a little fat. Or what I was trying to... The way I've drawn it, it definitely looks like the leg is extending a lot. I don't know if that's actually good. If it was... Not saying it's better, I'm just curious if it... could be. More like this. I might have drawn it the way I did for a reason. Let's just try to honor that. It doesn't look like, I don't look at this as like, oh, I definitely slopped that out and made a stupid mistake. Like, it might have been a good reason. Let's challenge ourselves and blaze forward without second guessing everything. It's definitely a lot of light blocked. That form. Or the foot is meeting the ground. Maybe more here. And overall, again, where the entire body is sort of being up against this wall. I will be blocked. Alright, that's pretty good. Set it to multiply. Things are looking fairly cohesive. Now the blood right here is looking ridiculous because it's totally... That's going to be like its own funky effect. Can I just turn that off so it's lip drips? Okay. I set that to multiply. What it's basically going to do is the red in the blood will interact with the green that's underneath, and it'll turn it black, which is exactly what this looks like. I wonder if we can see any color in this at all. Yeah, you can see it's just barely moving the needle. Here into the red, towards the red. I guess orange in this case. But it'll look good later. I like how 90% of my stream is like me talking about this doesn't look good now, but it will later. It's just me here, so I have to well, it's not just, I mean, you're here too, but the in terms of, I was talking, I think I talk about this too much, but the talking to another friend who he works in production like I do, where you basically it's what we call making shows or making entertainment, and it's isolating, and it's not improving over time. If anything, it's getting a little bit worse, and we're really starting to feel the negative effects of not having those natural interactions you would have in an office environment. Now, granted, there was tons of things that are bad about going, into offices to work. There absolutely were, but some of the things that are gone as a result of it, they were not all bad, and it's a shame to know that, like, I'm never probably at this point going to have like a casual conversation in line to get coffee at the break room. Not doing what I do. I mean, if I got another type of job altogether, those moments may happen, and who knows if I'll care about them then. But not being able to them not being a part of my life anymore is not what happened there? I made friends and friendships with people pre-COVID at the office that during COVID I figured, okay, well, eventually we'll all see each other again, and now it just feels like I'll probably never see them again, and that's a shame. So those were some cool people. My last year, there were. It used to be every year I'd get invited to 3, if not more, Christmas parties, for instance, from these studios, and they would all be on like the same day, so I'd have to pick one to go to. Um, and invariably I went to my favorite clients every year. But since COVID, there haven't been any that I'd been invited to, and I had recently learned that they just stopped having them altogether because the staff is now so spread out. Half the directors moved back to their home state. They don't live where they used to live. Oh, I'll save, yeah. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, so it's anyway, it's isolating. It used to be that, I didn't typically work with like teams of people, like big teams or anything like that. It would often just be me, a director, and a producer would, be collaborating for, whatever the duration of the project was. But aside from that, I would sit in areas where other artists would sit. I'd make chit chat with them and, work on my social game and networking and stuff. There were always opportunities there. But it's not the case anymore. I got this one a little messed up. These little snakes on the ground. This didn't work out the way. I think part of the problem is like they're so small in the composition. But I'm not gonna overthink it right now. Just get some shading here. Somehow, at some point, I just flattened it without like the layers for the snake. I just compressed them all into one layer, which means that the lines are not separate from the fills. Which is a very sloppy way. That's not the way I prefer to do things. Something like that. Feels cool. Oh yeah, and I had a cool idea to put the... Because you know how cobras can have those, that they have that hood on the back of their heads that look like the 2 eyes. And so on these snakes, I'm gonna put one eye, and it's like they call it the Sheikah eye, like the desert people. There's like this eye, and you can kind of see it here in the background. That's half of it. So if that was on the back of the snakes, that would look cool. Yeah, lots of cool storytelling moments, opportunities in these things. Okay, that's about as decent shading as I'll get for those snakes. And there's one more here that I need to do. That looks fine the way it is, actually. Okay. Let's get to this big guy. I can see somewhere. Looks like here. I got a little bit messed up. Let's get this back to normal. Probably when I was shading or coloring the tail a little bit. Because there's some color variation where at the extremities, like the tip of the hands, the tip of the feet, around the mouth, and the wings, and the tip of the tail, I just intensified the color. I think that has a cool look. Okay, so I'm gonna do the occlusion shading on this guy, and then that'll be enough for today. The background will take a little bit longer, and while I could keep going, I definitely also have to respect the fact that the house is a bit of a mess, and there's lots to prepare for today because there's work, school again for my daughter. Now she's going to be getting homework in her. I mean, she's been getting homework for a couple of grades now. Even in kindergarten, they gave her homework. But for whatever reason, her teacher in second grade gave her them the first week of school off without homework. But now, starting today, she's going to start coming home with homework. There will be challenges with that. So challenges mostly because she doesn't have perfect, she can't read perfectly well. The instructions are on our assignments are written so that adults can understand them and read them, but not like a first or second grader. So there's a lot of help, sort of side tutoring that I have to do until she's able to completely read and understand her assignments as they're written. But they give her a lot of homework. That'll be like, I don't know, I remember last year she was having like an hour and a half's worth of homework. That's a little excessive for first grade. And now she's in second grade, so I'm just preparing for even more. But it also depends on the teacher, so we'll see. Maybe her new teacher will be nice and not give too much homework. Yeah, it is way too much. And it's like, in my opinion, I'm like, why does the school think we have, that like parents have all this extra time? The teacher, she had good teachers, and I'm glad that her teachers like actually care and like be like, yeah, this, this is the way that and I've watched her become very smart and like learn a bunch of stuff last year. So this isn't about like, oh, this is not a good way to teach kids, but it does feel like it's like it's unrealistic, the pressure that it puts on the parents and the families, because it's like, dude, some people are working, sun up to sundown, or like super long hours. Basically, it's not uncommon for work these days. Like, I tend to start my day, my professional work day, late, like after 9 o'clock. I guess that's not that late, but it used to be that I would get to a studio around 10 a.m. and work until 7 or 8 p.m. on a normal day. And like, I could imagine at that point, I'd be driving home. That sometimes took another hour just to get home. So I'm coming home at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And like, at that point, I'm like expected to help with my kids' homework. In some situations, like that would be like the family's schedule for that stuff. So that's a bit ridiculous. Like, unless your kid has the ability to like read and understand and force themselves to do the homework, or they just love schoolwork or something like that, but it's not really my kid's passion just yet. This is fun for me to just have some time to chat and not think too hard. The shading stuff is pretty easy if you sort of like, if it's drawn well. Like in this case, like I set myself up pretty good because the drawings are easy to understand. Like on a subconscious level, I just look at it and be like, okay, I know what that could look like if I added shading, and I just let my hand do the work, and I can think instead about things that are on my mind and stuff I want to say. Feels like good progress. Very happy about it. I've been following other art streams and art YouTube sites that are interesting to me. And seeing what other people work on is interesting. I wonder if eventually I'll be like, oh, I'll collaborate with this person or something. Maybe down the road. Okay, this is the underside of the foot, so that whole section is going to be blocked with light. Check something. Well, I can go a little bit longer. That didn't take too long. See how far we can get. There's really no reason I can't go to at least another 15 minutes or half an hour, perhaps. Let's see how things are looking. Turn on all my layers. Starting to look cool. Yeah, let's try and do some stuff in the background. It is. It's looking cool. That's a good means it's a good time to save. There are different different kinds of layers too. Like that has a weird effect. Turning it on and off. Where was sort of indicating a loose design about where light and the contrast would go, but that was like several steps behind. All right, so that's cool. Here, I'll save. And yeah, this will be interesting because I know that the torch is there, like the fire on the pedestal is there, and that will create light. But that's not. I'm gonna try and ignore that and just treat it like it's not there, because the shading that I'm gonna do right now, the occlusion shading, it's agnostic to that particular light source. So let's see here. There's the background. You know, I gotta be real with myself for a second. That snake just isn't doing it for me. And there's a tiny snake here that isn't doing that great either. It's not a problem I'm going to solve right now, but well, then again, when the lighting comes in, maybe those snakes can have their moment. I don't know, but I won't get too attached to the outcomes. Like if a snake has to go away, it can go away. I just don't like the way, like right now, it's competing with the end part of that tail, I think. Like what if maybe it could be, maybe it's bigger. Something like that, maybe. If I handle it well in the lighting, but I can see that I didn't even draw the whole snake. Let me get something in there. Snakes don't really have that kind of posture with the back end of their bodies. Not the kind of, not like this kind of snake, but then it still just kind of looks cool. And then in the video game, they do sort of have that. It's like a cartoony snake. Okay. Yeah. It is. It's just a game. Oh, that bright white is bright. Here, I'll turn off the occlusion shading for all these other layers. That's going to help. here where the pedestal is getting up next to the wall, it's definitely gonna be blocking light. Well, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, I have to sneeze so bad, and I didn't want to sneeze. Definitely here where Link's body is touching the ground, or his sword is on the ground. The light is going to be blocked. Here where the structure is meeting the ground, light is going to be blocked. There's going to be crevices, cracks in the floor. Light is going to be blocked. Oh, yeah, it is like a flashbang. Here where the feet are interacting with the floor, touching the floor, the light will be blocked. Snake skittering across the floor, touching it, the light will be blocked. Here's something interesting. You can see the snake through. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, it wasn't at full opacity. There it is. Okay. It's like, why can't I see through my character there? Here where this character is leaning up against this torch pedestal, the light would be blocked. Here where the character has its feet planted, the area around that, the light will be blocked. Where the floor is trending towards the extremities of the room. The light will be blocked. These corners of the architecture. all sorts of decisions I didn't make. This architecture stuff, just sort of loosely fudged it in. I can probably cover for myself by just heightening the ruinous quality of the architecture, so that it's like, if it looks like there's an error, people will forgive it because it's like ancient and falling apart. I'll take that if I can count on someone's imagination to do the work for me. Sounds good. They'll do a better job in their heads than I will with my pencil, or my stylus in this case. So here you can see where I turn off the lines of the background. We can still, now because of the shading I've added, get a sense of the structure of what's there. It's like a ghostly kind of sense of it. We can keep going. Getting a little adventurous with my shading application here. But because I didn't take the time to be specific about it before, I'm sort of compelled to explore what might look good, even if it's not shading accurate. This is another it's another composition that might do well with having some different kinds of my wife is leaving for work, so I'm gonna stop in a second. But this looks decent. Let's save. that better or worse? Huh. Kind of hard to tell. Huh. Okay. In any case, I must stop because my kids will be up soon. They'll wonder where their father is. Okay. Let's call it a stream. Good efforts this day. Got up early on a Monday. Advance the ball on my passion project. Yeah. Here, real quick, I'm gonna turn on some of these layers. We'll see the shaded effect. It's getting there. So, this is sort of getting it in the same vein as some of this other stuff. Kind of has that sort of an interesting look, but it's kind of hard. It's like heavy metal. All right, that'll be it for today. Oh, save my work. Yeah. All right, do that, and then I will say bye-bye. This is good. I just have to do a little bit every day. A little bit every day, and be done before I know it. Let's see. Okay, it's all saved up. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Have a great day.